Hi, everybody. It's Michelle with Grapevine Magazine, and I am downtown Peterborough today at Cahill's, and we're chatting with Rob Cahill. Hi,
Yes.
Rob.
Hi there, Michelle.
Welcome. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
So, we're going to find out a little bit more about his shop here. He's a wonderful furrier. He's been doing this. So, you've been doing this for many years now, haven't you?
Long time.
Yeah. You're how many generations?
Say 2.5. My father started the business. My older brother and I learned from him when we were kids, coming in after school weekends. And then my brother was running the business for 15 years. I was away for 25 and came back.
And here you are.
And here I am.
And here you are, being very successful at it. What kind of folks, I couldn't help myself, okay? What kind of a fur do I happen
So
to have
this
on?
is one of our vintage coats we've got that people have traded in over the years. We've got a bunch of these. This is a coyote, and these would have been local. And then a little strip of white fox down around the collar and down the front.
It's so luxurious. This whole store is, folks. Okay, we know we have a lot of things here in the store, Rob. Maybe you want to explain a little bit about some of the things that you do carry.
Sure. We've been really an outerwear store for a long time. We've been in business for 45 years, since 1977. We've been at this location on Hunter Street since 1990, so we're just over 30 years here.
Wow.
And we've been carrying outerwear of many sorts of beautiful cloth coats, cashmere, wool, you'd find at some of the top boutiques and department stores in North America. We carry some feather down parkas, some shearling coats, and our cloth coats are all made in Toronto, which is great. And then we carry the Barber collection, the wax cotton out of the UK, which is that really classic line you'd see the royal family in, James Bond, amongst others.
We're going to take a look at that in a little bit. We're going to go over
so that's been a new collection we've been carrying for the last 2 years, really, that as a store in more of the countryside, where there's a lot of outdoorsy people, cottaging, sitting out in patios, having a glass of wine, that sort of thing. So this is just great outdoor wear. So there's that, and of course, a lot of different furs. And a big thing that we're working on right now is upcycling the vintage and heirloom furs. That's really keeping us very busy these days.
Right. So say, folks, you've got an old vintage coat sitting in your closet that was from great grandma or Auntie Anne or whoever. You will take that older fur and create a plethora of things with them.
Yeah, so the first thing that we want to look at is making sure the fur is in good condition. And then the type of fur that it is. Like the coyote, vintage coyote jacket you're wearing, probably early 1990s.
Really? I love it.
That would make great pillows. If it was a long coat, it would make an amazing throw.
We have pillows here, folks. Look at these. This is what he's talking about. These beautiful, this one's what, mink?
So that's mink. This one has 4 different types of fur on it, just to show the different textures, colors.
And they're all so soft. I mean, what a great idea, Rob, to be taking, something that maybe is just hanging out in the closet, and repurposing, recycling, upcycling, really, and creating something memorable out of it to pass along to the next generation and the next generation.
That's exactly what we found, is that there's a lot of these coats in closets, and the new generation aren't sure what to do with them, and unless they're into wearing vintage clothing, they're not going to wear this. But we can take them and make them into a new contemporary style.
Can you do a hat? You could do a hat.
We could do hats. We do scarves.
You could probably
headbands. Can make a vest. So a lot of this stuff is reversible. But here's a sheared mink. So this is Grandma's old mink coat, sheared, made into a vest with a water repellent fabric on the outside.
Beautiful. It's beautiful vest, and it's so soft, folks. It's so soft. You wouldn't think that mink sheared.
Yeah.
Is just.
It takes away
like
weight,
feathers.
It takes away bulk, and it feels really amazing. So here, a lot of what we're doing, and we do full-length coats, parkas. We have a lot of different styles we can go into. It all depends on what we're starting with and what the outcome people want to get out of it.
What you want.
But what we're finding is that people are bringing these coats that are 20, 30, 40, 70 years old. And we can, as long as the leather's in good shape, often when it's stored in climate controlled storage, which we have here.
That was a question I wanted to ask about if you do normally have a fur and wearing a fur, is storage this whole thing to store or not to store? Or can you just cover it up and stick it in a cool, dark room in your basement or something?
Well, you know what? That's a great question. We get it all the time. We have a coat in a lady wanted to make into a coat, a fur-lined coat, but the leather was too tender. So where it's sewn together, and in a typical mink coat, there would be 2 miles of thread with all of the cutting and sewing in. It's a real craft and an art. And so all of those seams, it's a perforation. So once that leather dries out,
it's hard to get it back.
Then you can't stretch it, and all of a sudden it rips. So the only option we had to go when the leather can't be re-sewn again is to go into knits. So I'll show you the knits in a minute.
Okay.
But we can go into different things that we can use it, but effectively the coat can just be pulled apart and ripped apart. And at some point it's going to be too tender. So that's where if it was in the climate controlled storage for its life, it would still be able to be made into anything.
Right. Okay.
And this is after, like I say, 50, 60 years. And so then we make it into something for you that you wear for a bunch of years, and it's still going to be around. So we're talking about these coats that are lasting, upwards 3 generations.
Wow, it's not like the coats you buy nowadays and, generic brand coats, guys. And it's like maybe you get a winter, 2 winters out of it, and, the seams are letting go, and so it obviously wonderful quality things, and it pays to have that, right?
Well, that's it.
You do a lot of the work around here as well, don't
you?
I do. You do. It's not like, oh, Rob's just kind of walking around the shop, and you are very creative and magical back there. You do a lot of sewing.
Well, when I started when I was young, I started sewing on the old fur machine when I was about 12 years old. I just enjoyed it, and my brother was more of a cutter. My dad did everything, so I would sit and sew, and I'd take all these pieces and then finish up with a coat. So I really got a lot of enjoyment out of it.
How do you not, I would be terrified of taking a fur or somebody else's fur coat and taking it apart and making, it's not obviously years of practice, but I mean, in the beginning, did you ever make any mistakes, any boo-boos?
Sure, you start with little pieces that don't matter much, but you know what? It's what's also amazing is, like in this coat that you're wearing, there are hundreds of seams that you can't see.
I can't see
because
them.
it's the way it's because it's the way it's cut, the way it's sewn. So we can hide a lot of things with the way the fur is made. But it also is what allows us to take something like this, break it down completely, and remake it into something else.
Complete upcycling, guys.
Yeah.